Stop buying laundry detergent. The $6 recipe Amish families have made for generations. One batch lasts all year. I'm going to tell you something the companies selling that jug don't want you to understand. And I'm not talking about the water content, the dyes, or even the fragrance. I'm talking about what happens when you stop using their product entirely and switch to something your great-grandmother would recognize as soap. The transformation is not what you'd expect. There's a cost most people don't calculate. Stay with me because I'll reveal exactly what that hidden trade-off is and whether it's worth making in the first place. If you've ever wondered why the Amish never seem to have laundry problems, you're about to find out. But first, I want to know something from you. Have you ever tried making your own soap and found it wasn't working? Leave a comment and tell me what happened, because this video is partly an answer to all those failures you've seen online. And subscribe if you want to see the old methods that actually stick around, because they work, not because they're trendy. The notification bell matters too if you want to catch the next one. Wait, I need you to understand something before we go further. Most of what you're going to learn here isn't just about making cheap soap. It's about why commercial laundry changed the way it did, and what that change cost you. I've put together a complete guide on the history and mechanics of how soap actually works at the molecular level, why hard water ruins everything, and the exact formula that works in different climates. It goes deep into what the ingredient companies realized you couldn't see. That guide is in the description and pinned in the comments. It's where the real keys are. Now, let's talk about the actual problem nobody mentions. When you buy that jug of detergent, you're buying a promise. The promise is that your clothes will smell clean. But here's what gets forgotten. Your nose isn't a measure of cleanliness. Your grandparents didn't have scent-engineered fragrances. They had actual clean clothes. There's a difference. The Amish learned to separate those two things centuries ago. They understood that soap does one job. It breaks the grip that grease and oil have on cloth. It does nothing else. It doesn't freshen the air. It doesn't leave a residue that makes fabric feel softer. It doesn't last through a season in your closet smelling like artificial flowers. It cleans. That's it. The recipe is straightforward enough. 1 bar of soap, grated. 1 cup of washing soda. 1 cup of borax. 2 gallons of water. Mix it, let it cool, and you have laundry soap that costs about $6 and lasts for months. But the part that breaks the internet is this. It doesn't smell like anything. And that's where people quit. For years, I thought the Amish were missing out on something. I genuinely did. How could they accept clothes that came off the line without that chemical freshness embedded in every fiber? The answer was simpler than I realized. They never trained their noses to expect it in the first place. Their measure of clean was stains gone, colors holding, fibers not wearing out. Smell was irrelevant. Now, here's where this gets practical. If you've tried homemade soap and it failed, it wasn't because the recipe was wrong. It was almost certainly because you added fragrance. And fragrance changes everything about how soap behaves, especially in hard water. Or you didn't use enough washing soda, and the calcium and magnesium minerals in your water shut down the soap's ability to do anything at all. The Amish account for this. They understand water the way most people understand the weather, not as something fixed, but as something you have to work with. The hidden cost I mentioned, the trade-off nobody talks about, is this. You have to change how you think about clean. Not the clothes, you. Your brain has been trained for 40 or 50 years to smell blue and think clean. Retraining it takes about 3 weeks. For some people, that's easy. For others, it's the reason they go back to the jug. They miss the smell more than they want to save the money. But there's something else. The clothes actually last longer. The fabric doesn't degrade. Colors don't fade as fast because there's nothing toxic in the soap breaking down the dyes. Whites stay whiter, because washing soda is mild but persistent. An Amish family will wear a shirt for 3 times as long as most people before it falls apart. That's not marketing. That's just what happens when you stop using something designed to wear out, so you'll buy more of it. The companies know this. They know that washing soda and borax work. They know the recipe is public. But they also know that most people will never make the switch, because the friction of change is higher than the cost of the monthly jug. They're not competing with you on science. They're competing on convenience and on that smell. 1 batch of homemade soap requires maybe 20 minutes of your time. 1 year of that batch costs $6, but it demands you accept that clean doesn't announce itself. The third ingredient is the one that makes the biggest difference in how well this works, especially if you live somewhere with hard water. That's where most people stumble, and that's where they give up. Borax is a mineral salt. It softens water the way washing soda does, but it works differently. Washing soda handles minerals by binding to them. Borax actually prevents soap from sticking to those minerals in the first place. Together, they're not just redundant. They're complementary. One takes care of what the other might miss. A box of borax costs about $3 at the store, same laundry aisle, and it lasts even longer than the washing soda. Now comes the fourth item. And this one is different because you're already buying it. It's a bar of soap. Any bar soap works. Most Amish families use whatever plain bar they can get cheapest, usually a brand like Fell's Naphtha, which has been around since 1896, or Zote, a Mexican brand that's been used for generations. Some use ivory or even homemade soap if they make it. The bar is what actually does the lifting. The washing soda and borax create the conditions that let it work efficiently. The soap itself is the worker. You need about 1 bar per batch. So you have 4 things: washing soda, borax, a bar of soap, and water. That's the entire recipe. You grate the bar of soap, which takes maybe 5 minutes if you do it by hand. You could use a food processor, but most Amish don't. There's no reason to. 5 minutes of grating isn't a burden. Then you mix 1 cup of washing soda, 1 cup of borax, and 1 grated bar of soap in a 5-gallon bucket or a large container. You add water. Not all at once. You add it slowly while stirring, because you're not making soup, you're making a concentrate, and concentrate means thickness. The final mixture should look something like thick paint. Not runny, not paste, somewhere between. This is where I need to hold on for a second, because this part matters more than people realize. Hard water, water with high mineral content, is the thing that kills this recipe for most folks who try it. They make the soap, they use it, and it doesn't seem to work as well as they expected. The clothes don't feel quite right. There's a residue. They figure the whole idea is a bust. But it's not the recipe that failed. It's the hard water that's stronger than their soap is equipped to handle, without that second water softener doing its job. That's exactly why borax is in here. But borax only works if you use enough of it. And more importantly, if your water is hard enough that borax alone can't keep up. You need to know that right now. That's in my complete guide to off-grid laundry and water management, which goes much deeper into mineral content, testing your water, and adjusting the recipe for your specific location. It's available in the description below and pinned in the top comment. It covers the patterns and the science behind why hard water breaks conventional soap chemistry, and how you can fix it with one small addition I'm about to show you. The fix is sodium hexametaphosphate, which sounds complicated, but it's just a water softener that's more powerful than borax. It costs about $8 and lasts for years. You add maybe a tablespoon of it per batch if your water is very hard. Most families don't need it. But if you do, it's the difference between a recipe that works and a recipe that frustrates you into buying detergent again. Once your mixture reaches that thick paint consistency, you let it sit for 48 hours. You don't stir it. You don't touch it. You just leave it in the bucket in a cool place. What happens in those 2 days is the soap continues to bind with the minerals and the water. It's setting. It's becoming stable. After 2 days, you can pour it into jars if you want, or you can just ladle it directly from the bucket into your washing machine. Most Amish families ladle it straight from the bucket. 1 tablespoon per load. That's all you use. 1 tablespoon of this mixture washes a full machine of clothes. Not a measuring cup. Not a splash. 1 tablespoon. That's the economy of it. That's why 1 batch lasts nearly a year for a family of 9. 1 tablespoon per load. That's all you use. 1 tablespoon of this mixture washes a full machine of clothes. Not a measuring cup. Not a splash. 1 tablespoon. That's the economy of it. That's why 1 batch lasts nearly a year for a family of 9. Now, before I tell you the numbers, I need to stop here for a moment. Most people who try homemade soap quit before they see real results, and I want you to understand why that happens so you don't become one of them. The reason sits in something I mentioned earlier but didn't fully explain. Hard water. Hard water is the enemy of cheap soap, and if you live in certain parts of the country, your water pulls minerals straight from the ground. Those minerals wrap around soap molecules and prevent them from doing their job. Your clothes come out dull. They feel stiff. They smell off. You use more soap trying to fix it. Nothing improves. You throw out the batch and buy detergent again. That's the story I hear most often. The complete guide to understanding water chemistry and mineral buildup, the hidden systems that make or break homemade cleaning solutions. That's all mapped out in our detailed ebook, available through the link in the description. It breaks down exactly how to test your water hardness, adjust your recipe accordingly, and troubleshoot every problem before it starts. Grab that if you want the full technical picture. The trick most people miss is simple. You add one more ingredient to handle hard water: citric acid. A small box of citric acid, the same thing used in canning, costs about $3 and lasts months. You add 2 tablespoons of citric acid to your batch after it cools. That's it. The citric acid binds to the minerals in your water before they can bind to your soap. It neutralizes them. Your soap works. Your clothes come clean. They feel soft. They smell like nothing, which means they smell clean instead of perfumed. That single addition changed everything for families who'd given up. One woman I know, she's in Ohio, runs a small farmstead with her husband. She'd tried this recipe 3 times and quit 3 times because her water is brutally hard. The 4th time, she added the citric acid. Clothes came out perfect. She's been using it for 5 years now. She told me last year she saved enough money to buy a new plow blade for their garden from laundry soap. The math on this is straightforward, and I'm not exaggerating it. A batch costs about $6 to make. You get roughly 500 loads from it. That works out to 1 penny per load. 1 penny. A commercial laundry detergent, even the cheaper brands, runs you 30 to 50 cents per load depending on what you buy. You're looking at a difference of 29 or 49 cents per load. For a family of 9 doing 8 loads a week, that's somewhere between $150 and $250 saved per year. Just on soap. I know what you're thinking. Doesn't it wear out your clothes faster? Won't your washer break down? No. My wife's been using this for 14 years. Our clothes last fine. Our washer runs fine. Homemade soap is gentler than commercial detergent, actually. It doesn't have all the chemical builders and surfactants that break down fabric fibers over time. Your clothes last longer. There's one more thing I should tell you about what this soap does poorly. It doesn't bleach. Store-bought detergent has optical brighteners, chemicals that make whites look whiter by reflecting light. This soap doesn't. Your whites will be clean, genuinely clean, but they won't be that artificial bright white you see in commercials. If that matters to you, you can add a half cup of oxygen bleach to a load. Oxygen bleach is cheap, safe, and it brightens without the harshness of chlorine. That's the honest part. This soap is excellent at cleaning. It's not designed to make your clothes look like they're glowing. What it does excel at is durability, economy, and simplicity. It works on work clothes. It handles sweat and mud. It softens hard water when you add the citric acid. It costs nearly nothing. And you make it in your kitchen in 20 minutes, with 3 ingredients you can buy at any grocery store. Your great-grandmother did this exact same process. Your great-great-grandmother probably did too. They didn't have a choice. They had to make it work. Now, there's something most people don't realize when they first try this. The first load you wash might feel different. The clothes come out clean, but your nose doesn't smell that artificial mountain breeze. Your brain hasn't learned yet to connect the absence of perfume with cleanliness. That disconnect lasts maybe 3 weeks. Then something shifts. You start noticing how soft your clothes are, without all that chemical residue built up in the fibers. Your towels absorb water better. Your whites don't have that stiff, treated feeling. The detergent companies spent decades training us to trust a smell instead of results. Untraining that takes a little patience. There's also the practical matter of storage. 1 batch of this soap lasts our family most of a year, but you need a place to keep it. We store it in a 5-gallon bucket in the basement, sealed. It doesn't spoil. It doesn't go bad. You scoop what you need, and the rest just sits there, waiting. Compared to constantly hauling those plastic jugs home from the store, constantly taking up cabinet space, constantly running out at the wrong time, this is simpler. 1 batch made once or twice yearly. That's it. Before I walk you through making your first batch, I need to mention something crucial that most recipes online skip over or get wrong. Hold on for just a moment here. This is the part that determines whether you succeed or whether you get frustrated and give up. If you're serious about switching to homemade laundry soap, the complete guide to water chemistry, regional hardness differences, and advanced troubleshooting is available in the description below and pinned in the top comment. That resource goes deep into the science of why hard water matters, how to test your water, and what adjustments you'll need based on where you live. The guide covers all of it. Without that information, you might make this soap perfectly and still have it fail in your specific situation. so grab that if you want the full picture. The missing piece is this: water hardness. Not every region has the same water. Some places have soft water straight from the tap. Some have water so hard it leaves visible mineral deposits on everything. If your water is hard, washing soda and borax alone won't work. You'll get a film on your clothes. The soap will clump. You'll think the recipe failed, but it didn't. Your water did. This is why citric acid matters. It's not optional. It's the silent worker that most people miss. When you add citric acid to the rinse water, it binds to those minerals and removes them from the equation. Your soap can then do its job without interference. That's the trick. That's the part that makes this actually work in the real world, where water isn't always pure. Some families add the citric acid directly to the wash. Some keep a separate rinse container. We do both depending on the load. Heavy work clothes get it added during the wash. Delicate things get it in the rinse. There's no single right way. You adjust based on what you see happening in your washer. You'll also notice that this recipe doesn't require essential oils, doesn't require fancy molds, doesn't require patience while it cures. Mix the 3 ingredients, let it cool, store it, use it immediately. The simplicity is almost boring compared to what the internet has turned soap making into. But boring is what actually works. One more practical note. The soap separates a little over time. That's normal. You're not seeing it fail. You're seeing the ingredients settling. A quick stir before use, and you're ready to go. Some families add a tablespoon of gelatin or a small amount of xanthan gum to prevent separation, but we've never bothered. A stir takes 5 seconds. The cost breakdown is straightforward. Washing soda runs about $4 or $5. A box lasts several batches. Borax costs roughly the same. A container of citric acid is maybe $3 and lasts through multiple batches. So yes, $6 total for supplies that will handle the laundry of a family of 9 for almost a year. That math holds up even if you're buying the premium versions of these ingredients from specialty stores. Compare that to someone spending $25 on a jug of scented water that gets used up in 6 or 7 weeks. The difference becomes obvious pretty fast. Over the course of a year, you're looking at spending roughly $70 to $80 on commercial detergent for what costs you $6 to make yourself, for one family. But here's what most people get wrong when they try this at home and then abandon it after a month or two. They expect it to work exactly like commercial detergent. They wait for that manufactured smell. They watch for the suds to pile up like a bubble bath. And when neither of those things happens, they think the soap has failed them. The truth nobody tells you is this: a homemade bar of soap, when dissolved properly into hot water with citric acid, cleans clothes as well as, or better than, most commercial options. It just doesn't announce itself. The clothes come out clean. The smell is gone. Real dirt smell, grease smell, sweat smell, all lifted away. But there's no artificial mountain breeze following you around. No manufactured signal telling your brain that everything is fine. Your nose doesn't get trained into believing something that your eyes can already verify. That absence of fragrance is actually the secret I promised you at the beginning of this video. The real reason this soap works, the reason Amish families have made it for generations, isn't because of some special ingredient or a trick that commercial companies don't know about. It's simpler than that. It works because the soap itself is honest. It does one job, cleaning, and it does that job thoroughly. It doesn't waste money making you feel something that has nothing to do with cleanliness. When you use this recipe, you're not paying for water shipped across the country. You're not funding advertising that convinces you scent equals clean. You're not buying a new plastic jug every 6 weeks that you'll throw away and replace. You're making something with 3 ingredients that sit on plain shelves in plain boxes, and those 3 ingredients do exactly what they're supposed to do without apology and without theater. The clothes get clean. The water softens so the soap can work. The alkaline base lifts the dirt. Nothing more, nothing less. And that simplicity is worth a considerable amount of money over time. For a family like mine, with 9 people generating work clothes and barn clothes and bed linens that need washing twice a week, the difference between $6 a year and $80 a year adds up to real money. Money that goes towards something else, toward fixing the roof, toward the children's schooling, toward feed for the animals. But the economic argument isn't really why people should care about this. The real value is independence. When you know how to make your own soap from 3 ingredients you can buy anywhere, you're not dependent on a corporation deciding what price to charge or what ingredients to use or how much plastic they're willing to wrap it in. You're not bound to their supply chain or their profit margins or their marketing psychology. That's what my family has understood for generations. That independence, the ability to take care of your own needs with your own hands and materials you understand, that's worth protecting. It's worth passing down to the next generation, whether or not they live the way we do. So here's what I'm asking you to do this week. If you have a jug of detergent under your sink right now, don't throw it away. Finish it. But order these 3 ingredients. Get them on the shelf. When that jug runs out, make 1 batch of this soap. Just 1. Wash 1 week's worth of clothes with it. See what happens. See if the clothes come out clean without the smell telling you they should. If you've tried this recipe before and it didn't work, or if you're thinking about trying it and you're nervous about hard water or stains that won't come out, I've put together a detailed guide that walks through every problem people run into and exactly how to fix it. Water hardness, citric acid dosing, fabric types, the whole thing. You'll find it linked in the description and pinned in the comments. The complete ebook that covers not just this soap recipe, but the entire philosophy behind making your own household products from basic materials. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this useful, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Leave a comment below and let me know what household product you'd make yourself if you knew how. I read every single one.